Hello everyone, how you doing? And welcome back to Skye and Evan in the morning. Hi Evan, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Sky.
Very good. And today we're going to be talking about Talk to Me, the 2022, 23, it depends on where you
It's
check.
I think it's 2022. I was shocked. I thought it was 2023, but apparently
Yeah, I
it's a
think it
little
didn't
older.
get like a wide release until 2023. It's why it's kind of odd. Depending on the website you check, it says the wrong year. Regardless, the horror movie made by the RackaRacka people. Um, and A24, the Australian horror movie.
Hmm.
And there's a lot to talk about today, isn't there, Evan?
Yes, there is.
So, you weren't a big fan of the movie, were you?
No, not a big fan. It's weird. I think I mentioned this to you. It was either off stream or in the last episode. But my God, I did not like the trailers to this movie. I don't like the premise for one because I'm just like, dude, evil hand. There needs to be something more, and they do that like with how the I don't know, I guess ghosts work in this movie, but the way they lay out the rules and how the story they k they introduce, like, rules that don't add up, and I'm not even sure how, like, the whole possession thing works in the first place 'cause they're so confused on, like, how things function. The acting's really good, and so, like, the filmmaking itself is alright, but, like, I found it so hard to get invested in the horror because of how, like, the actual, like, 90-second thing worked.
Um, I mean, the movie's pretty clear with all the rules. I didn't have any issue with those. I'm curious what you mean.
Well, for instance, the whole can so for one, where that hand come from, the guy said, like, it's a
A friend of a
gypsy's arm
friend,
cut
and
off.
yeah, oh,
Yeah,
it's a
they just
medium's arm cut off. Yeah.
yeah, they just keep hand waving it away, and you're like, "So, who invented the whole 90-second thing? Why why does time matter?" And you're just and any
It's
questions
just, I
like that,
mean,
say
I
same with
don't
the
think
hand.
it's like the type of thing to really think about, especially when it's like it's a hand came from
Well,
a friend of a friend who got it from someone who got it from. It's like the people just like realized the stuff as they kept changing who had the hand and whose possession the hand was until they got there, and like you just pass along that information once you give
w
someone the hand.
well, the thing as well about that is that they know the story of the hand, like, they don't tell you about that until later, but they're like, "Yeah, the guy stabbed his brother and he killed himself." It's like, that's the guy who has that arm, like, hides that information until late, and they also hide the information that, the ghost can impersonate people. Like, I love that when he just pulls that, it's like, "Really? Why didn't you bring that up in the scene where it's pretending to be her mom?" You're like,
Well,
"Oh, by the way,
I think the entire
it can
thing is
take
that
it."
they were like just having fun, and then when it was like when once it actually is relevant, it's like, oh, I actually think that happens. Like he just reminded him, because like these are just a bunch of kids just like having fun with this stupid idea
Well,
of like a
again,
hand.
that's the thing that I don't understand is, like, they treat them like idiots as far as I'm concerned, and that was so like, I think thematically what they're going for is something to the effect of, like, dangerous internet trends, like, we have all these destructive, like, things that we do on our phone for TikTok, but it's like, Unfriended did that back in 2014, like, that movie's about, like, people hurting other people with, like, what they do on the internet, but I didn't I couldn't get anything, like, deep or interesting out of that because 'cause I'm just like, it all comes down to how these kids, like, use the actual possession thing, and I think they're idiots, and I don't think, like I think there's so many better, like, choices they could make that would, like, preserve their lives.
I mean, all of them make pretty reasonable choices. It's just the main girl, forgot her name.
Yeah, I forgot her name too.
Main character. She's the one who keeps using the hand because she's obsessed with seeing her mom
Well,
again, which is
yeah,
just
when
like
she
the ghost using her trauma to manipulate her.
yeah, coming down to her, I knew she was gonna do it by herself, and I was like, "Oh my god, are you she" I I'm I'm wondering how much of the latter part of the movie is real and, like, how much of it is actually just her grasping the hand. Because
I mean, I think the
how
movie's pretty
exactly
clear with what stuff is fake. They usually point it out pretty well.
well, so for instance, like, what, with the ghosts, like, imply to the main character that they are, like, torturing the kid that's, like, possessed, that, like, there's that shot where, like, the guy's in hell,
Yeah, and
but
the
then
ghosts are
they
torturing him. Yeah,
imply that none of that happened because, like, the kid
yeah,
they're
that
just like,
was
"He's all
just
better now."
yeah, that was
It's
just
like,
the
"Oh,
ghosts lying to her so that she would continue using the hand.
well, not much." So he definitely was possessed at some point,
He was at
and that
some
candle
point, and then
bullshit didn't
what they
seem to.
say to yeah, no, the candle bullshit was just her own idea. But it's what they said that over time the ghosts leave your body. You just need to not do it again. I think it's the brother of the guy who stabbed himself.
That's
The
it?
like the connection to the ghosts gets
Wait,
weaker as time goes on.
then why did the brother, like, go psycho? Did he just keep using it?
Yeah, he kept using it the same way that
Okay,
the main
well,
character did. Just kept using it.
because she's so obsessed with seeing her mom.
Yeah.
But that's what fucking infuriates me about the fact that they don't tell her that it can mimic voices. Because 'cause I'm like, if you had just mentioned that, that would have been, like, a really important detail, but
I don't think it would have
they save
changed
it
her
so she
mind at
can.
all. In all honesty, because she keeps saying it is actually her. Um, like
Yeah,
like, they, I'm
which
pretty sure they even mention it pretty fast. Like the next time um, they talk after the kid bangs his head, and they say like, "Oh, don't they? Can they like mimic people?" And she's like, "No, but she said she called me me. How could she know that?" And they said, "I think they read our minds," and she was just like unwilling to like accept that. So I don't think it would have mattered if they told her like earlier that it mimicked people. I think regardless she would have still kept using it because she thought it was her mom.
well, yeah, I probably believe that too. I just she kept making choices where I was like, I do you seriously believe this is your mom? And I get it, we do stupid things when we try to grieve and stuff like that, but I when she actually, like, used it just alone, I was like, "Oh,
Well, to be
great."
fair, she only talked.
Now
She didn't do the "I let you in" because if she did that, then that would have been really stupid. But it's just talking, then it's not like a
so
problem.
you ca
So
so
there are
you
two
can do that?
mechanics. You have the talk to me where you just see the person, and then you can kind of just talk to them or see them or whatever. And there's the I let you in, which is the thing that can only last 90 seconds. Because if it lasts more, then the ghost won't want to stay or whatever they said.
And you can only stop that by blowing out a by
By taking off the hand and blowing out a candle, yeah.
okay, and for which the ghosts, like, have super strength and, like, hold on to the hand, which
Yeah,
is also
sometimes that happens,
interesting.
yeah.
I it's all so arbitrary, and I don't know who wrote the rules, but it's like,
I mean, rules for any
none of
like
you don't
fantasy
even need
science
to.
fiction are gonna be a little arbitrary.
Well, yeah. I don't know if they just made it themselves and just decided it was a threshold they couldn't go by, but it I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's. I mean, for me, it's fine to just go along with it. Like you can only do this. It's like okay, like don't go over 90 seconds, and they do, and that's like the big inciting incident of the movie that fucks them over.
Well, even barring all that, like, what is scary about this movie? Like,
Genuinely,
what's
yeah,
supposed to be.
I thought this movie was pretty scary. All times I watched it, it's pretty unsettling.
I don't know, like, it's just the sequences, like, where they're actually using the arm and sitting around are interesting, but it's mostly because of, like, the makeup and all the work, like, how all the characters look when they're, like, possessed, that was kind of creepy, I guess, but, like, I didn't get it's one of those movies where, like, you don't feel that scared during the day? Like, I wish there was more of a sense of, like, atmosphere throughout the entire movie, but I didn't really get that through and through. It just the best scenes were the scenes with the hand and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I find the movie pretty scary. Like it is just the kind of thing that like it depends on what gets you. I think I find it unsettling the way they do a lot of stuff. Like just the kid, like his sister's cleaning him, and then he just bangs his head on the wall and fucking licks his own blood. I always find that like really unsettling, but I can
That
also
got a
understand
grimace
someone
out of me.
finding that kind of silly. So
Well, yeah, I did find it silly. That's what they say that they're gonna like that he's gonna just wake up and try to kill himself. And also, like, it's another one of those movies where all the ghosts just assholes and like every ghost is like seemingly evil, which is weird because that didn't seem to be the case when at the end, obviously, when she becomes one.
well, we don't see
I
anything
suppose there
about her,
were.
to be fair. We just see that she becomes a ghost. We don't see if she does anything after she becomes a ghost.
Yeah, and I suppose in, like, that first one, they had encounters that went, like, quote, unquote, "well," so
Yeah, and they
I
even
don't
have
know.
like that entire montage where they do it a bunch of times, and it's just like it goes smoothly. It only fucks up when there is the one ghost that's trying to trick Mia. I remembered her name. Very nice. They're just trying to trick her by going into the boy and uh, calling her me and everything, saying that she's sorry that she killed herself. Um,
Well
so like
well,
before then, it
so
was
what is
perfectly reasonable. There's like the one that sang in French. That was the one that was just like kissing the dog. Like it's just funny bullshit and not really evil per se.
so what is the ghost, like, the villain ghost this movie want? Because the 3rd act of this movie is her, like, kidnapping the kid that, like, looks like the horrifying, zombie, and then bringing him to the highway and then seemingly gonna push him into the highway, and then she ends up going. I was confused on if she, like,
No, it was
jumped to,
the
like, not get
sister. No, the
possessed or
sister. The boy's sister threw her at the cars.
it was her. I thought she didn't make it in time.
She did. She did.
Wait, she pushed
She pushed
and
Mia
killed
in
V
front of
me.
the cars. Yeah, because she was just about to kill her brother, so she was just shoved her in front of the cars.
I thought the implication there was either that, like, the demon did that to her or, like, she jumped on her own. They
No. She
I
what
don't
the demons were doing was making her kill the boy, and then the
I
sister
only
just came
rented
in.
the
So.
movie, so I don't have it to reference back to, but I swear to God, I don't remember, like, that I think I would've remembered the shot of her, like, at the back. Do you, like, own the movie? That's
Uh,
crazy if that's the case.
I can't get it right now. I don't have it downloaded, and it's only on Prime Video. Uh, so it'll
I mean,
black out if I take a screenshot.
so I guess Mia d that's kinda sucks. I thought she made a decision, but the sister just killed her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
I think
so
the idea is that like because like she has hesitates for a moment to kill the boy, and it's the same thing of earlier in the movie when she couldn't kill the kangaroo. It's just like she wasn't able to put him out of his
uh,
misery.
I cringed when the kangaroo, like, showed up in the 3rd act. I'm like, "Guys, I get it." You were already, like
Yeah, that
for
was
one,
unnecessary.
with
I'll
the
agree with that.
scissors, I don't know why they did that. That felt like it didn't have a lot of trust in the audience, but,
Yeah,
like,
I'll agree with that.
so so the ghost, like, why do they wanna kill the kid? Like, when they're possessing him, they're just to kill
Well,
people?
I think what one of the guys who had the people who had the hand says is that if you die while they're in you, they get to keep you. Which is why when Mia dies, she becomes part of the ghost in the hand because they were in her. So they're trying
Why would it
to
wanna keep her them or, like, the people
well to but I don't know. It's just like something they want, I guess, to keep other souls to like torture or something like that.
But
Have
I
fun
thought
with.
the implication at the end was that like they were alone. That's another thing that's weird. Is like what's the power of the ghost? Because like they want it to be like, oh no, she's alone, and the only thing that like, which I did find that effect cool, like the candle, like
Mhm.
that's part of the game. It's like they're just in the dark, and then the candle draws them in. It's like that's kind of clever, but like
I don't know.
I
Think there's like. I mean, for one, we don't really see much of her after she dies. Maybe there's more after, like we see that because that was like right after she died, and then she
maybe
gets called into to the hand by someone. Maybe there is like a place where all the ghosts live or something. But it's also just like I think it's just like because with ghosts a lot of the time they're just kind of like instinctual primitive beings where they're just like they want to get revenge or do something like just to do it. They don't really know why. That's how horror kind of works with like restless
well
spirits and everything. I don't think there's like they have like a big reason for wanting to keep them. It's just like what their
why?
brain
Because
thinks.
isn't the implication that all of them like were like Mia and ended up getting just like killed by associate, or is it just
Don't
is the
think all of
implication
them.
that that's what you happen when you die, and it's like
No, I think they.
ghosts are just real and you can commune with them based on the hand? That's it?
No, I think it is just if you're killed with the hand. Relating to the
That's
hand, like with the ghosts inside you, as they say.
that's a lot of different people to have gotten off by that hand. That's actually really weird.
Well, you'd imagine, depending on how long the hand was around. For me, the implication with that kind of stuff
Well,
in horror for me is like a few hundred years.
I I, I don't know. I got the implication that that was like maybe 100 years old. That hand doesn't seem like an artifact that had been around for like 500 years. I maybe that's what they were implying, but I that's interesting if that's the case that they're all connected to deaths related to the hand, because that must mean there's a lot of people like Mia.
Hmm. Yeah, I imagine quite a few of these people just died and not didn't know like what was going on properly, and just kind of like Mia, yeah. And a few of them were just like evil bastards, like we see a few of them being cunts to to her friend. So I don't know. I think it's just like I don't think the movie's really made for you to like entirely super analyze all of those aspects. I understand if you do, but like it's just kind of like the general concept of like they give you the rules and that's how it works and it's pretty much it. Like thinking about how long the hand has been around and everything like that. I don't know. It hadn't crossed my mind before I talked to you. So yeah, I don't know.
I just think about rules when they lay like things out, and because there are rules in this movie. It's just that like when you question them, like there's not really answers, and you're just supposed to roll with it. So I found it difficult to roll with it, and I found it difficult to be scared because I just not much of this movie I found all that eerie. Like I thought the all the makeup and prosthetic work they did for like the possessed like kid at the end was interesting, but and you mentioned it, the whole like lapping up the blood thing of like that was kind of creepy. I got a grimace out of that, but like most of the overall movie, like I'd heard this was like a really scary film, and I just didn't get all that overwhelming sense of like dread or horror. Like outside of the sequences where they're like directly talking to one of the ghosts, but even in those sequences, I didn't feel like there was much of a threat in those scenes. They just, you know, would show someone creepy often, or like end them with the sucking the feet thing that just generates drama with the group. It's like sometimes you get cut-offs that just lead to dramas between the characters. So I don't know. I found it underwhelming in terms of scare value.
Interesting. Because yeah, one of the things most people say, and I would agree, is that this film is just scary. I genuinely do find it pretty scary, pretty unsettling. Um, it's funny because I watched two horror movies the same day when I watched this the last time. Because I watched well, to be fair, it's not like a horror movie per se. I watched the Mike Flanagan's Oculus, and then right after I watched Talk to Me, and I was just like, when I went to sleep, I was just a
Oculus
little.
is a horror movie.
Eh, it kind of is. I think it's more of a
Everything with the
mystery.
mom is, yeah, ish. And then the stuff in the present day isn't as like horror esque,
Yeah.
but
It is kind of scary, but it's just the kind of thing where like I watched two horror movies, and when I went to sleep that night, I was like really like creeped out, like super aware of like, is there something in the dark? Um, and this was the third time I'd seen Talk to Me, so I think it's pretty impressive that it managed to still unsettle me quite a bit after watching it the third time. I don't know. I genuinely do find it scary. I can kind of understand if you're not like buying into it, it might be harder to be scared. Um, but I just I think it's just like it's not like the scary like jump scares or like jump out of your seat, but it's just the under underlying feeling of being unsettled that I get with this movie. Just like often there's just like something off, like with her seeing her mom in the bathroom, just like her not being able to open the bathroom door. Like that's creepy. Like that's just what her thinking the same thing that happened with when she actually died. That she was trying to get help, and then she learns that she wasn't actually. She genuinely did kill herself. Like there's a lot of stuff that I just find kind of just unsettling with this movie. Maybe not like super scary per se, but like just unsettling. I appreciate it for that. And I also just like there's this kind of sense of hopelessness with this movie that I kind of like, where the movie just ends in a super like
well,
negative note instead of
that
just
was
like
another.
having a happy ending. So
Well, that was another thing that I had heard when I looked into it. It seemed like a lot of people like the movie for not having a happy ending and that it just ends with the main character dying. But I'm like, that's not too unique, especially for horror. It's pretty common for movies to for horror movies to have like a not particularly happy ending. And
mhm.
I figured as much because she was messing around with things like I, I'm like, you kind of brought this on yourself. I all but expected her to die, but and like I said, I found that a pretty interesting scene, like especially with the candle. That
Mhm.
was interesting and unique. But um, oh god, where was I going with that? But yeah, like the aspect of like the movie ending on a bleak note, it worked, but I'm surprised at how many people like the movie for the third act or for just not ending on a happy level. And I'm just like, I thought a lot of horror movies did that, but okay. And everyone else kind of gets a happy. That's the weird thing too. Like the whole family just seems to be celebrating, and they're like, well, I she snapped and tried to push him into the road, so fuck her, I guess.
Well, I think
Um,
it's kind of the thing of just like she, as you say, she kind of brought it on herself. It's kind of just like her very unhealthy way of grieving was just like trying to find a way to for her mom to still be alive in some form. And like that she kind of loses herself in that. They kind of treat the hand as like a drug almost, which I find interesting.
yeah. Well, and like I said, like addictive internet trends kind of a thing. Like there's addiction to things that are destructive is kind of what you might call an underlying theme of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's as much as it like is in the average horror movie, but still it there's something there for like, going back to something that gives you relief or, makes you takes the pain away. So
Yeah. And so yeah, I don't know. The entire thing with this film is that I don't find it like really all that unique, like you're saying. It is very. I think it's just a really well-made, simple horror movie. It tells its story very succinctly. I generally don't feel like the film like that should have been any longer or shorter. I think it's the right length. And
no, it yeah.
yeah, and I just feel like the filmmaking is what really makes the film stand out. I really like the way the movie's shot, and the acting is phenomenal. But like, it's not like a groundbreaking like horror movie that revolutionizes the genre. It's not that. I think it's just a really simple, well-made horror movie. Um, I don't really have a problem with it not being like all that unique. I just find like there's aspects of it that I appreciate, like the ending, like being super bleak, but it isn't like the most unique thing for a horror movie to end like in a hopeless note. That happens often, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I appreciate the filmmaking. Like I said, I was hoping for something a little like subtler during the day. Like either there's stuff you could have had happen during like the day sequences or like when they're not directly talking to the ghosts where to make things a little eerier on the side. But the acting and the filmmaking itself like stood out.
Hmm.
I because I compared it to Blumhouse in the message that I said to you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this movie definitely has better production values and better filmmaking going for it than something like Truth or Dare, but um it's like it's as simplistic as those movies, though, I would say. Like it's in the realm of Blumhouse in terms of like how the characters behave and what the movie is like centralized about. It's just that how the film looks and is like better than the average movie.
Fair, I guess. Yeah, Blumhouse does have that kind of uh reputation, I suppose, for being having those kind of like really low budget, very simple horror movies. But that's kind of the thing. There's a lot of good Blumhouse movies. I mean, even Mike Flanagan made movies with
Yeah.
Blumhouse, so you know,
Well, and obviously A24 has made, movies that haven't stuck the landing in the end.
yeah,
I think in a lot of ways, A24 is going they're making more genre-based movies like Civil War. It's weird how that's happening, but they're getting a little bit further away from, like, the indie track and are kind of finding specific genre movies that they want rather than, like, outsourcing to the weird guys every time.
yeah. I would think we need a new A24 to to keep the horror train going. So A25 help us.
St Yeah. What is, Focus? They work with, Eggers sometimes. Maybe that'll happen.
Mm. Yeah, I'm that is one thing about A24 is that I feel like they're kind of leaving the indie horror genre behind, which is a shame because that's kind of like what made them popular, which is making really good indie horrors. This movie is pretty much that though. It is just an indie horror made by like some Australian
Oh, yeah.
YouTubers. Um, and it did get pretty
For
popular, so maybe they'll keep doing it. But
Yeah, for and they're apparently gonna get a sequel for which, like,
yeah,
it's huge W for YouTube filmmakers, and I'm very glad that, like, this movie was received as well as it was. It just wasn't my cup of tea, but I'm like, good thing for hopefully the future of YouTube filmmakers.
here's a question for you, Evan. The movie is gonna be called "Talk to Me," two being the number two. Do you think that is
Oh.
a better name? Do you think that is a better name than "I Let You In"?
They'll probably go something clever like that, or that'll be the subtitle, like, "Talk
Talk
to me,"
to
like,
me, I
put like,
let you
"I
in.
let you in."
If they do the
Yeah.
subtitle, then yeah, I'm on board. It's just because I was talking to a friend and he was like, huge missed opportunity not to call the film "I Let You In." It's like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's kind of the same thing as the third Happy Death Day, where it should have been in many more instead of being called Happy Death Day 3 or whatever it's called. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was funny, but I do kind of enjoy that they talk to me. And they're also
Yeah,
working on
what if
another
they
horror
had that as,
movie.
like, the actual
Sorry, you go.
I was gonna say, what if they made that the actual marketing, like, talk and the number 2 means? Ah. Oh, man, there's funny stuff you could do.
Yeah.
You were say
Oh
you
yeah,
were
and
saying they were doing
they're also making another horror movie called Bring Her Back, um, which apparently they were
uh,
gonna work on a Street Fighter movie, but they turned that down so they could work on this movie, which is also interesting. They had the chance to work.
Indie filmmakers turning down a blockbuster,
Well,
huh?
that isn't the first time these two have done it. They were supposed to work on like a DCU movie, but they wanted to talk to me to be their directorial debut, so they turned it down. Which also huge dub, missing out on not on working on the DCU. That's like the best thing you could have done with your career. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested to see the next stuff they do. And I know you weren't like a big fan of like the story itself, but like their level of filmmaking, I think as directors they could work really well. Um, Maybe if they get other script writers, you'll be on board. But
Well, and I'm curious, like anything that they do, I'm sure like their next thing is going to be a horror movie, like you said. But uh, I'm wondering like what kind of movies they might work better with, or what I might
mhm.
vibe with more. Like you said, all it takes is maybe a different writer or a different story idea they have to make something really interesting. But if they are turning down big budget projects in favor of their smaller stuff and they just want to make their own stuff, that must mean they got like specific vision. So
Yeah, which is
good for them.
makes me really happy. See filmmakers, indie filmmakers, not going to work with like the DC and Marvel and everything. Because like the way Marvel loves to do it, just hire an indie filmmaker who made one good movie and then give them like a
Yeah.
250 million budget superhero movie. So yeah, I hope they keep working on this kind of stuff. Um, what did you enjoy about the movie, Evan? We talked about your criticisms quite a bit, but what did you like?
Like I said, I like the acting and the direction and all that. Eowyn being in the movie was cool. I laughed when I saw him like, wait a minute, is that? I'm like, yay, it is. Um trying to think if it was like my favorite scene or what was like the best standout. Um I don't know because I don't want to be mean about this movie. I really didn't like it. I I most of the stuff I liked were production value stuff.
Right.
I had a tough time with like any one scene or one story. Like
Mm-hmm.
it, and again, I just didn't find it scary overall. So that hurdle was difficult, but the acting and realistically the characters too, like they weren't like the typical high school like drama oriented character group where like everyone's betraying and backstabbing each other. Like they did feel like friends with like
Mm-hmm.
nuances of friends, and not even the people that seemed like the complete idiots, like the guy that had the hand, like they come around towards the end, and when things get serious, like they take it seriously. So I'm like that. I appreciated that they weren't like just walking caricatures.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that I enjoyed was just how these characters they kind of feel, and I suppose it's just because two millennial directors, uh, like they just kind of feel like real people in a sense. I don't think they're like caricatures, like you say, like the way they talk and just the way they act. It doesn't feel like an old person writing young people, which they feel like actual characters. So I like that too.
For sure.
Right. Well, not much you liked.
No, it's weird. And I'm against the grain. I'd avoided this movie because of the trailers, but I've like this was not my vibe, which is unfortunate. But
That is a shame. I was imagining you
what
would enjoy it, so my
what
bad for
stuff did you
recommending.
like? Like what like sequence wise or like macro filmmaking wise? Like what stuff stands out to you?
Well, my favorite scene is the montage of them talking to a bunch of different ghosts, because I just think that scene is super fun and like there's this underlying unsettling vibe to it of just like, man, we're doing something really, really fucking stupid, but we're having a ton of fun, so it's fine. Like I kind of like that, just that vibe, and I think the filmmaking in that scene is phenomenal. The editing, the way the scene is shot, especially, is really cool. and the way the song, and I like the song that plays too. I just think it works. I think that scene is really good. Um,
Some of the hard-going Australian music I did find very funny, like, what sounded like heavy metal, like, Aussie lyrics. It's just yeah.
yeah,
That was a very entertaining scene.
yeah. And I that was the scene that like sold me on the movie. I was watching, I was like, okay, I'm vibing with this. Um, I kind of just like the idea in general of using like the hand as you said, like a kind of like a drug. Like they're just kind of getting addicted to avoiding their pain. Uh, well, not they, just Mia. She's the only one who actually does it. Um, I just kind of like that idea of like, because like you'd think it'd be really hard to do something like that. It's like a hand where you talk to ghosts. How can you get addicted to it? But like, firstly, she says that like the feeling of letting the ghost possess you is kind of like she's aware of everything, but she's in the passenger seat, and I think that fits with her character perfectly for her to want that that feeling more of like not having to be in charge of her own life when she's always like when she's basically had to be since her mother died. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, and then her slowly getting addicted because she's just, obsessed with seeing her mom again. Um, I did think the mom killing herself thing was a little could have been done better because for me it was like
Yeah.
yeah it was obvious that she killed herself and Mia wasn't just didn't know, but they kind of just like
Well,
that
or
he
was in
tells her
denial, like, I was
yeah
like, it
if
there's an
she was
implication of that.
yeah, I think she if she was in denial, it could have been just like more in denial than just like her dad never told her or he kept the letter from her. I think that could have been better because like he just reads the letter and is like, yeah, she killed herself, but like, and I get it. It's because they want the ghost to be like, no, he's lying. Like I didn't write that note.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I think
enough.
that sequence was a little undercooked for me. I think they could have done it better.
I did find that insane when, like, I was waiting for it. I'm like, he's gonna come in, he'll eventually break the door down, he'll be like, "Mia," and then she'll, like, stab him, and it literally happened. I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh my god." For some reason, they kept him alive. It was
Oh,
kinda weird that they, like, showed
it's because they want Mia to be like all alone and everyone keeps going. Like their lives don't depend on Mia basically. Which is kind of what she feared her entire life. Like she says she has this nightmare where she looks in the mirror and she can't see herself.
Yeah, yeah.
she's always scared of being alone. So they want her dad to survive. They want her friends, to survive as well, just so like to show like they can still move on without her, and she's just like dead and gone fully now, like exactly how she had nightmares about. So yeah, that was another thing that I liked
Yeah,
genuinely. I really
bleak way for her to go,
yeah,
yeah.
I just really like that entire ending sequence where she just sees everyone going and she's just like, I don't want to be alone. Like yeah, I like that. I don't know, man. I think it's a pretty well made movie. I was really shocked that you didn't like it, like that you had a very negative opinion on it. I think it's pretty good, but
I I mean, like, I just don't have all that much to have a positive opinion over, like, it's because I admit that it is very, like, the production values are largely, like, rock solid, but I couldn't really get scared, and I didn't find enough meat on the bones to really appreciate, like, to too high of a level. Because like, what would you give this out of 10? Like, I think you gave it an 8 on Letterbox, right?
yeah, yeah, 7 or 8 around that.
Yeah, I'm at, like, a 3,
Yeah,
which
I
is
saw you gave it a
mean.
3. I was like, "Jeez Louise, that's worse than Deadpool and Wolverine." Which is part of why I don't like number ratings because we just saved this
Yeah,
movie's
yeah,
really worse than Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah,
yeah, it's very well shot, like, and the acting is solid, and it there's a lot of really good production values with the makeup and everything that, like, makes the film what it is, but the premise and just the characters themselves, I had a tough time getting invested, and it just nothing brought my feeling up, nothing brought my rating up. Like I struggle to see what it is that like I'm missing that makes it like a great movie because people really vibe with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there are people that like put it in the same realm as something like Hereditary or Midsummer and like of thoughtful horror.
Nah, I
And for
wouldn't
me, it
call it
just felt
that.
like genre horror.
It just for
So
me, it's just a very simple horror story. I wouldn't call it like thoughtful horror, like especially like Hereditary and Midsummer, because those movies are like a very different type of horror. I wouldn't put it on that level for sure. No.
what's the reaction from most? Like what do most people like and vibe with and say is the selling point? I'm guessing it's the scenes with the hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people just find this movie unsettling. Like a lot of, if you even read the letterbox reviews, people are just like, "Man, this movie's really scary." Like, and that's kind of what they really vibe with. It's just how unsettling it is. Um, and I've seen a lot of people mention the ending being so bleak as like a cool selling point. Um, but it's basically it. Like I don't think I've seen many people talk about how deep this movie is or like how thoughtful it is. It's just more like a well-made horror movie that scares you pretty well. It's what people seem to think. I watched it with my parents the second time I watched it, and they liked it too. And they're just like, yeah, it's really pretty scary, pretty well-made movie. But like, I don't know. It's not the type of movie that you, which is what I was a little afraid of recommending this movie because I wanted to recommend it because I knew you hadn't watched it and I thought, well, Evan has to watch this movie, but I didn't know if it would be like a good conversation piece for the podcast because it is so simple. Um, Thankfully you dislike the movie, so we managed to talk about our disagreements. Um, but it is such a simple movie that I don't think it's like the type of movie that you talk about for hours. Like, it's not The Shining, It is just
Yeah.
just a very simple, well-made horror movie, in my opinion.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm glad people vibe, but like that was what I was joking about with you in the my message of like I didn't watch the movie because of the trailers, and in large part, like it's basically what the trailers. It's what I figured I was in for based on the trailers, and yeah, it just wasn't my thing. But I'm glad it's a lot of other people's things, and it's a win for YouTube filmmaking. So I'm happy for them in that regard. But horror wise, I just didn't vibe.
A shame. Um, yeah, I think I think that's all about Talk to Me. I think we've covered your wrong criticisms very well. Um, and yeah, well, now here's the thing. Evan was supposed to recommend a movie, but
Yeah, this might get
we ended
this
up
might get to an interesting crossroads.
yeah, we ended up mentioning that we wanted to do an episode next week on Joker Folie à Deux. And so yeah, either we do an episode on two movies, which we can, or you just skip on your recommendation this week. What do you think, Evan?
I suppose it depends on how interesting of a discussion there'll be on that, because that, for all I know, you'll despise the movie as much as like everyone is. Like I'm the one guy, like sort of in its corner-ish, but
Sort of
um,
at its
it,
corner-ish is not a great way to defend a movie.
not really. But my God, like it's got plenty of people burning it at the stake, and it's like I just find it funny how like ruthless people are with it. But I don't know. It'll probably be enough for its own discussion, but if we want to throw in another movie, we could.
We
I
could,
do have a recommendation.
if anything happens, if it is gets too much, we can just do two episodes next week. We'll do an extra episode
Well,
for you folks. So
yeah, I do have a recommendation I'll throw in, and this one it's a short movie, so it shouldn't even be that demanding. But I'm going Nosferatu, the original one, because
oh,
Robert Eggers'
making the
new one's coming out.
yeah.
Have you ever seen that? I have never seen the
I
classic
have never seen the
from the
classic either.
20s.
I am really excited for the Robert Eggers one, but I've never seen the original.
Yeah. I've heard it's good. I've heard it's kind of dated. You know, it's like watching really old movies isn't always the punch isn't always there. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's I've heard that's just 90 minutes and it's a pretty interesting movie. That'd be pretty short and undemanding. So I suppose we could try to fit them in. If it's like too crazy, then we avoid that. But yeah.
All right. Well, then next week, folks, Joker for Leah De and Nosferatu. Um, so yeah, thank you very much for watching.
Double feature that it was meant
Very, yeah,
for.
weirdest double feature ever. I don't think anyone had ever thought these two films would be a double feature, but it's fine. But yeah, folks, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next week, and yeah, see ya.
Catch it. Oh wait, what am I thinking? I forgot to mention. I started Community with my brother.
Oh, you started Community. Let's go. Oh, you're
Yeah, I
gonna get
watched
the
the first
joke. Oh my
episode.
god.
Yeah, someday.
Oh,
But yeah, first episode. So yep,
yeah.
just wanted to mention.
Did you enjoy episode 1?
I did. My brother. He said it's the whole sitcom thing, or like just TV show thing in general. Like the first episode, like has all the characters together and like grouped in and fighting, and it's like it's heavy drama. And he's like, from here on out, like it's mostly like sticking with groups of characters. Like you're following two characters in like one part of the episode, then two
Yeah.
characters in another. So he said it might get like a little more interesting and funny. Like the first episode isn't like
Yeah.
the most draw you in pilot, but yeah.
I would say the first episode is arguably like, which is funny because I also think that the same about Rick and Morty, but it's like the first episode is like the worst episode of the first few seasons. Um, so yeah, because it is just like the pilots have that kind of issue where it's just like introducing a lot of stuff and then the show gets into its groove. Especially after episode
Yeah.
6, the show really gets into its vibe, and that's when it gets real good. But I actually really liked every episode of the show, except for
Yeah.
season 4, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah, and I like that episode. It was funny. It's just yeah. I'm interested to see what they can do with like different subplots and different viewpoints from the characters.
and obviously excited to see finally what the joke is all about. What the hell is a Skye and Evan in the morning? Oh,
Yes, indeed.
all right. Well, now, folks, now we will catch you next week. See ya.
Catch you later. Later.
Whoa.